What is going on, everybody? Hey, this is your boy JC from JC Sports Talk. And tonight I have with you a very special guest, Jael, and she's here to talk about some basketball. So I'm not going to sell her short or anything like that. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and, just tell them a little bit about yourself and how you got into this industry.
Cool. Well, first off, that was a cool intro. I actually thought like it reminded me of the beginning of Aaliyah's More Than a Woman, like in the motorcycle. I thought that's what that was at first. I was like, oh wow, you got some Aaliyah. But yeah, so I'm JL Rucker. I'm a sports and entertainment writer and editor for Gary Vee and his publishing platform 1:37 p.m. I started working for them August of 2020, so I think I'm probably right at the year and a half mark. I cover just about everything. I've primarily try to focus on sports, but I also do some streetwear and fashion stuff as well. I've interviewed Jimmy Butler, just interviewed Tyler Hero and Brianna Stewart this week. Um, Done some things with like Fashion Week at different points, and just I'm kind of like all over the place. So sports and entertainment is kind of what I focus on.
So
Um,
how did you get into this industry? Like, I mean, I want to interview a Jimmy Butler or just be close to them. Like, what I mean? Hey, book the interview and just hey, give me courtside seats. Hey, I'm okay. So, but how did you get into this industry? Like what made you like, what? This is what I want to do.
Well, I started off playing sports. I played sports for majority of my childhood slash teenage years, and I think when it kind of became clear that I was going to have to stop at a certain point, like I was never going to really be at that level that that you dream of when you were a kid. I wanted to find another way to sort of be involved. So in high school, I began writing and reporting on our school football team and our basketball teams and stuff like that, and that was kind of how I began to get my feet wet. And so from there, it was kind of my major in college. I spent a lot of time with ESPNU's Campus Connection program. I'm not
Nice.
sure if that program is still around, but it was a program for college students to kind of cover their universities and kind of have their stuff featured on the ESPNU YouTube page. And even some of the features even got to be featured during halftime of like certain games on ESPNU and stuff like that. And so that's how I got my start. And from the very beginning, I knew I was going to eventually transfer to Georgia State. So I was covering Georgia State. And from there, I landed an internship my first year was an internship where I was actually on the sidelines for Georgia State doing their ESPN Plus and ESPN3 games.
Hmm.
And did that for about 3 years, like all the way up until the pandemic hit. And from there, I've always kind of written on the side as well. So the opportunity opened up for Gary Vee, and I was fortunate enough to get it. And it's just been the rest has been history from there.
Well, look, it was nice, but hey, how nasty of me or how bad of me to not wish you a happy Woman History Month, like International Month, basically. So I mean, I've been saying it all, throughout my tweets, but hey, happy Woman International Month. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like I love to
Mhm.
bring females on my platform that know about sports. I have five sisters myself. I grew up with five sisters and two brothers.
Mhm.
So this is why, like, I mean, I grew up hearing that females don't know about sports. So a lot of times I love having females that literally know about sports to come on my channel to try to prove other people wrong. So it is what it is. But hey, happy anniversary. This is your month. Uh, I hope that you are enjoying your month and stuff like that. But how does it feel to be a female just covering sports? I mean, did you ever think that hey, you would get this opportunity, to actually be where majority of the males are, especially, white men?
I don't know if I've ever really looked at it like that. I've always believed that I was capable. I just, I mean, obviously you battle and you deal with things as being a woman in this
Facts.
industry. And you do face a lot of sexism and a lot of people who question your ability. because you're a woman. But I just felt like I never focused on that. So I just felt like I have the knowledge, I have the experience. So um and I feel like in some cases, not to sound, I guess, braggadocious, I feel like when it's come to some of the male reporters that I guess that have
Mhm.
been in the same field as me, I feel like I've known a little bit more than them. But of course, that would never, like that would never be accepted. So, but my
Facts.
thing was just doing the best that I could, and so I do the best that I can, and I let the work speak for itself.
So how far do you see yourself going? Like, what's your goal?
My goal, honestly, I love being with my company, and like one of the things that I enjoy about us is that we are making our way up. When I first joined a year and a half ago, um, we were still like a really young company that
Mhm.
was, of course, we have the backing of Gary Vee because it's a Gary Vee media company, but we've had to really scramble, and we're still scrambling to get people to know who we are. And for me, I find it rewarding because it's like each day is like it's a you never know what's going to happen, and I feel like we're climbing a mountain, and I like that
Mhm.
climb. Like, to me, that's a little more rewarding than being at like a big place or a station and they're like, oh, you're working here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, that's great, but I love, like, when I got the Jimmy Butler opportunity, for example, when that came in, like, I loved that feeling. Even when the opportunity to interview like Brianna Stewart and Tyler Hero this past week, it was just like, yes, it's another thing. I feel like we're climbing a mountain, and it feels good. It feels good to do that, like, kind of coming from the bottom, like where we were at when I joined August 2020 to now where we're at in March 2021, and just the events that we've been invited to. It feels rewarding. So I'm happy with where I'm at.
Nice. And so how was it, interviewing, Butler and Hero? Like, I mean, was you starstruck? Like, I mean, hey, was you lost for words? Or was it just like, hey, another job, hey, you are here just for the interview and you just trying to do your best as possible, just try to get as much information as you can, or like how was it?
Well, I didn't have a lot of time
Mhm.
with I don't know, not even like Brianna Stewart. I think the most I've ever had with anybody is like 10 minutes.
Okay,
So I mean,
yeah.
but it's funny because certain things in life kind of prepare you for where you're at. And my writing internship had me like interviewing people over the phone and writing, and I had to get a lot of
Mhm.
information. I had more time with them, but I had to just make sure I had everything down. And so that kind of taught me how to get things like over the phone and over Zoom and all that in a quick manner that's also
Mhm.
efficient. Jimmy was cool. Jimmy was very humble. I always say that Jimmy's interview is what kind of turned the trajectory of my career,
Nice.
because in terms of that interview, it wasn't for sports, and I think that that's been probably one of the more ironic things of my career is that
Mhm.
from being a writer and from like keeping my mind open to doing things, because when I first got to my job they were like, hey, we need something on sneakers, can you write something on sneakers, because we were just trying to get our names out everywhere and like do
Yeah.
everything. So like, can you do this on this streetwear? And I never said no. I only do sports or things like I didn't have that mindset. I always had the mindset of, this is where I'm supposed to be. Why would I turn down, like, obviously I've been led here, so why would I shut myself off or limit myself off? And what that did
Yeah.
is, like, even though it's an article or you're writing something, people might think, oh, it's not being seen, but when you write something, it gets entered into a lot of databases that you don't even know that people can see it, and
Facts.
people are seeing your work. And so when it came time for Jimmy's partnership with his streetwear brand
Mhm.
that he's working with, Roan, um it wasn't like a traditional post game interview. It wasn't like, hey, can we get him out, before the game, after the game, can we talk to him about basketball? It was something different. And so I at that point I had multiple articles on sneakers and streetwear under my name, and I actually only asked him one basketball question. So, and that was still tied into the brand. So it's like only a few people had that, and I think it was somebody
Mhm.
from ESPN, somebody from Sports Illustrated, a couple other outlets, and then me. and our platform 137. So that was like, and I have it pinned because it was like, okay, that's the real deal. And then when other people's agents and PR people and all that stuff go and check you out, because they check you out on social media, and they see like, oh, you interviewed Jimmy Butler, like, okay, like that's one of the biggest stars in the NBA. So
Yeah, I mean, look, I did check your Twitter out. I didn't see the interview with Jimmy Butler, but I saw how knowledgeable you were about just talking about the sport and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, I gotta get her on, and we're just gonna, just talk about NBA and whatever sport. So I mean, so I appreciate people like you, women like you, just that's like just going for it, just not letting anything or anybody just stop them, and we know how hard it is out here. Well, even for me, man, like just jumping on YouTube, I literally just started last April. You know what I mean? I love sports. I love my Eagles, but I could talk sports like, and sometimes I know more about other people's teams than they do.
right.
So I just decided, hey, why not just jump on YouTube? Hey, I could vent if I want. I could just get on here on a Friday night and just talk the crap with the other fellows or with anybody else that want to come talk sports. Hey, why not do it? So I just went with it. And this past year just been amazing. I met a lot of great people. Like, I never thought that I could have a civil conversation with Cowboy content creator, Cowboy fans, because I'm an Eagles fan. And trust me, like, I've made some great relationships, and you never know who you're gonna meet.
Right.
Once you start doing whatever you want to do to make you feel comfortable and put you on the next level. So
Right.
I mean, this is why I'm always open minded. I mean, I used to be called JC Eagles Talk, but I changed my mind, of my name like literally a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, to JC Sports Talk. So I could talk about all sports, not just the Eagles, but any sport you want to talk about. Hey, I'm down to talk about any sports. So that's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
So never limit yourself, basically,
Yeah.
and just like you, I mean, you never know what's the opportunity you're gonna get. Hey, who knows? But I'm here just for me, what I mean? Hey, just to
Yeah.
have fun with it, and whatever happens, happens. So, hey, let's talk about the NBA. All right. So far, this NBA season to me has been one of the most awkward, surprising, interesting season I've seen in a
Yeah.
while. You don't know who's going to win a championship. It
Yeah.
started off with Lakers, Nets, the clash of the Titans, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and one is in a nice spot and looking bad and just lost to the Rockets, one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the other one is in the eighth spot. It took a 50-point performance by Kyrie Irving to beat the Charlotte Hornets. They're both struggling. So coming into the season, I mean, who are your favorites coming into the season, and who are your surprising team right now? Before I ask you, who are your favorites
Yeah.
right now in the final prediction?
I think my favorites kind of heading into the season for the West was the Golden State Warriors. And I haven't like written them
The
off, but they've
Warriors.
definitely been
Wow.
struggling. I just felt
Okay.
like the way they started the season, they started out hot. They started out looking like that 2015, 2016 Warriors, and then Klay Thompson wasn't even back at that point. And I know
Mhm.
Klay Thompson's been injured, so he's probably like not the Klay Thompson and that we're used to, and it's going to take him a while. He's the injuries he had were tough injuries. Some people never come back from those. So, but I figured that once they got him back and integrated after a certain amount of time, that they would really be a lethal, dangerous team, and they have that capability. Like I'm not writing the Warriors off, at all, but they definitely have been struggling recently as of late. So
But
that
real
was kind
quick,
of who I
and
had.
real quick, so do you think that chasing the 3-point record hurt Steph Curry a little bit? Like, he spent so much energy, like the first 3-4 months of the season, and now he's just like struggling so bad, and that's the reason why the Warriors are in a slump, or no?
I mean, I don't really know because it's not like I know he was chasing it. I know he wanted it, but at the
Oh,
same time, it
absolutely.
wasn't like he was extremely far off either. So he was
Yeah.
gonna get there. Like he's gonna get there. I just think they're going through a slump. It could be a number of things, and then let's not write off with like a lot of teams too. I know COVID issues were something that was
Yeah.
really being dealt with in this. There's also the question of like, is there suddenly no COVID cases? Like, is that hard to believe? Like, nobody's got COVID yet. No,
Nobody. Nobody. Hey, this
zero.
whole thing changed in the NFL, in the playoffs. They got rid of all this extra testing, and hey, all of a sudden now, hey, COVID is gone. It's cured, and everybody's 100% available.
Yeah, I
But
find
go
it hard
ahead
to
with your
believe that
take.
there's zero players in the NBA that's got that's had that COVID. Like, it's at zero. I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah. So I mean, you was talking about the words were your favorite, and I kind of like interrupt you. So go ahead,
I
continue
mean,
with
that
your
was
take.
it for the West. For the East, my favorite going in was definitely Brooklyn, but I think they were the best bet. There was obviously the issue of Kyrie Irving because at that time he hadn't even been cleared to do the road games.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that Katie and Harden would certainly be enough. So yeah. I did, but with the Nets, you could also pose the question of like, okay, what if Kyrie had been available from the very beginning? What if he, like
Yeah.
when and if he's able to play those home games, like when, would that have made a difference?
Mhm.
So yeah.
All right. So I mean, we know that the Lakers are struggling. So,
Mhm.
like, what's the main reason why, like, in your opinion, is the reason why the Lakers are struggling, and who's to blame?
I mean, just because you put a bunch of names together doesn't automatically mean it's going to work. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when the big three got together in Miami, like LeBron, Wade, Bosch, like they kind of they weren't
Mhm.
this. Like you knew they were going to end up going to the finals, but they had their struggles.
Yeah.
And so like I I think they were probably, did they almost get eliminated earlier on? I mean, I don't know.
Well, the first year, they definitely lost their first year, and then
Yeah, I
they
mean, yeah, they lost to the
won.
Mavericks, but I was trying to figure out if they were close to an elimination before that. But I can't remember. I know the second year that was the year that they almost lost to the Celtics. But I my memory is kind of
Yeah.
failing me right now. But I think the chemistry just isn't there. Um, Russell Westbrook, like much props to him. He's been great through his career. There's no absolute like disrespect on that end, but that's not working in
Yeah.
my opinion. Um, it's just not there. And then we have to remember, like, this is not 10 years ago. Like you put these guys together
Yeah.
10 years ago and you're probably looking
Woo!
at a little
Like,
bit of a different scenario. This is
facts. Like 10 championships in a row, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, like that's not yeah, I think that's a little bit of a different scenario. So it's guys that are like, the only one who really isn't past his prime is LeBron. Like, and he should, from an age standpoint, he should be long past his prime. And I don't even know what to classify LeBron as. Like, he's a freak of nature. So, but it's just, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Anthony Davis hasn't been healthy for the second year in a row. So,
yeah, I don't think Anthony Davis will ever be healthy a full season. That's just my opinion. I mean,
mm,
it is what it is. I mean, like, it seems like, man, every time he make a shot, he's on the ground. He's like, I'm like, man, is this the game that takes him out for another 2-3 weeks? Like, literally, like, I'm holding my breath every time. But
mm.
this Laker team remind me of the Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, Karl Malone. Hey, remember when they put all
Yeah,
those
yeah, but that
guys
team made it to the
together?
finals, though. That team made it to the finals. They lost to the
They
Pistons, but they made
did.
it to the finals.
They
Like,
did because they had like Shaq and Kobe, like two
hmm
players in their prime, and then you brought in some old heads. But the Lakers, I mean, they really had nobody in their prime. LeBron James cannot do what he done, with Miami with the Cavs no more. I mean, he's been having some knee pains lately. Back-to-back seasons that he missed like weeks at a time because of one season was a groin injury, last year was an ankle injury, this year was a knee swelling issue. So I mean, it's
yeah,
always something the past few years. So, but when Gary Payton, Karl Malone, I think their official was still on that team, Shaq and Kobe and the role players, but you at least knew that Shaq and Kobe could carry the Lakers to a certain, like a certain peak. But nobody thought that that team was going to finals either, because it was like Gary Payton, he's old. Karl Malone, he's old. He's chasing rings at this point. But they weren't, they basically were a shell of themselves. All these players right now, I'm sorry, Westbrook is a shell of himself from the previous. Maybe it's a system that he's in that's making him look that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a shell of himself. Anthony is a bench player. He's a role player now. Dwight Howard, okay. But LeBron James, he's chasing Kareem, scoring titles. So he's all about, hey, I'm just going to score as many points as I can. You know what I mean? Hey, bump defense. I'm just going to score as many points as I can. So I feel like this team was put together for the wrong reason at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's like too bad. 5-10 years too late. So I hate to see that. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fan of the sport, and I hate to see, like, Michael Jordan. I did not want to see him come back with the Wizard. Come on, Mike. Hey, you left for 3 years. I didn't want to see him come back.
He came back to try to rectify the Kwame Brown situation. He's the one that drafted him. He's the one that. That's right. That made that took that pick, and so I think he was kind of put into a situation where he's like, I gotta try to do what I can to help them out.
Yeah. What's up, Jenks? But look, I understand. Yes, and Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the GOAT, but he's like the worst GM in the league. His picks are so horrible. I'm like, Mike, man, you should just stay a player. And as somebody else, hey, you could be a GM, but hire an assistant GM. And for them to get the blame, like, you're just the owner and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it is what
really
it is.
Made no progress in Charlotte at all.
But hey, Ball, LaMelo Ball, right now, in the past couple of years, been looking a little better, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how long the tunnel is, but there's a little light there. There's a little light. Mike, I see you, Mike. I see you trying, but you're not there yet. It is what in my opinion, LeBron James right now is a better GM than Michael Jordan is right now. And LeBron James is playing still. He put the team together with the Cavs. He put the Lakers' first team together. Besides the Heat, but the past, the Cavs and the Lakers, his past, 2 championship. I feel like that he put those teams together. He got rid of some talent though, but he put those teams together, and he is like a win now.
Those teams collapsed once he left.
Well, I wonder why. You got rid of all the talent, though.
Those were gonna be what was best suited for him at those specific points.
Exactly. So, do you think that was a little selfish, or just like it is what it is? He's in a win mode now, because just like you said, every team he left collapsed because. Once he got there, they literally bargained the form for him.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, you make sacrifices if you want to have a player like LeBron James. So if there's a player that he's suggesting they get, or that he wants them to get, you kind of do it, especially for where he was at those specific points. And Cleveland didn't really have that second time around, especially they didn't really have that power to tell him no. Exactly. I think Dan Gilbert was
kissing his butt.
He needed. That was a heck of a letter that he wrote.
Heck of a letter, yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, all right. So, who is your NBA biggest surprise team so far? I know we talk about the Lakers, the Nets, whatever, but who came out of nowhere? Right now, in the East, we have the Bulls, the Cavs. The Sixers up there, the Heat's up there. It just so on both sides. Who is your most surprising team? One out the East, one out the West, or overall, you just give me one.
Right. Well, I'm gonna big up my Cavs. because
Were you a Cavs fan?
I'm a Cavs fan. So I'm
Oh,
big on my
okay.
Cavs because I mean we showed promise at the beginning of last season, and then we were just losing a lot of games that we really shouldn't have been losing. It was tough. I was hoping we would make the play in last
Mm-hmm.
year. We did not. But this year, like we've had games where we look really good. There have been times where we were even like the third seed in the Eastern Conference, and it's like we did kind of have a little bit of a losing stretch, but we've gotten back on the winning end. Darius Garland had that 42-point game.
Yeah.
Um, I think the world is seeing that we're a young team with promise, and I'm not going to sit here and predict that we're going to
Yeah.
go to the finals or win the championship. I don't think that's going to happen. There's levels to it. But I'm happy
Yeah.
with our progress, and I think we could. I know we're going to make the playoffs, and I think that we can at least, I wouldn't be surprised if we make it to the second round. So
Wow.
there's promise in Cleveland, and I think it's so cool and it's interesting because obviously the LeBron years were iconic and they were great, and but it's nice
Facts.
to sort of see like a new era coming in with this new talent.
I mean, look, I would agree with you if I didn't think that the Bulls with the Rosen would be so high. I mean,
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about the Cavs. Like honest truth, I mean, the Cavs were like,
yeah,
okay, it is what it is. Another year because they had not made the playoffs. They only made the playoffs with LeBron James.
right.
Without LeBron James, the Cavs are not making the playoffs. Before he got drafted, after he left to go to Miami, no playoffs. He came back, they made the playoffs. When he left again, no playoffs. I'm like, man, it is what it is. But the Bulls, to me, with the guy and DeMar DeRozan, with the Raptors, like every year he was available in the playoffs. Hey, look, he played okay. But the thing is, for him to be a top 5 MVP candidate, like
Mhm.
right now, and he's been balling out. I mean, Zach
Yeah,
LaVine been in and out of the lineup because of injury, and I didn't see him playing this well,
yeah,
especially after he went to the Spurs. And the Spurs was like, you know what? Yeah, we just gonna trade your ass. You know what I mean? And then now he's just like, holy crap! People are comparing him to like, he is setting some Bulls record.
yeah,
Michael Jordan name is set. What the heck is going on with
yeah.
with
DeRozan
DeMar
does look
DeRozan?
good.
Like, I didn't see that coming though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to admit that too. But I'm a big on my Cavs. But yeah, Chicago and DeRozan for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, so no disrespect to the Cavs, like, and no disrespect, but I like when you have somebody in your picture, you be there yourself, is this like, and you still disrespecting them. You like, yeah, okay, the Cavs,
Yeah.
but I didn't have them on my top anyway, so I'm just gonna, I'll just keep it going. But yeah, I mean, I just say the Bulls, and you said that the Cavs might, push for a second round playoff. So where do you see the Bulls? Like, or does it
Bulls.
depend on the matchup though?
I mean, matchups are everything in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's a little bit
facts.
different when you're playing the same team over and over again because it's like when
Exactly.
you see them one time during the regular season, it's like you have the adjustments for the in game, but then you kind of forget about them because it's on to the next team. But
Yeah.
this is when you have the ability to be playing a team at least 4 games, like you're gonna play at least 4 games against them,
Mhm.
and you can kind of study them, and you can go back and you're devoting a little bit more time to film, and you're watching. And I'm also a firm believer. I could be wrong on this, but like I'm a firm believer that the strategies that in the plays that you're running in the regular season are a little bit different. Like if you could
Yeah.
potentially meet a team, like are you going to pull out all the stops in the regular season? No. So I mean, I just think matchups are everything. Is going to be different. I see the Bulls going to the finals. Honestly, that's what I
Okay.
see. I see
All right.
Chicago.
So right now, if the season would end today,
Mm-hmm.
the Cavs in first round will match up with the 76ers.
Right. And that would be a first round elimination. So I'm hoping we can move up just a little bit more.
Well, right now, the next team above y'all is the Boston Tech on the Boston Celtics, and they are a full game ahead of y'all.
Yeah, that's not so.
And then the Bulls are like a game and a half ahead of y'all. So I mean, there's room for wiggle room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Bulls will play the Celtics right now at the season would end. So
Mm.
I think the Bulls will advance, but the Cavs, I don't see them getting past the Sixers. But there's hope. Ha ha. Ha ha. Come to America. Like, you know what? Who saw the Hawks beating the Sixers last year
That
in the
is
second round?
true. That is true. But that was a different Sixers team. That's not
I mean,
that's not a Sixers team with James Harden on it.
well, I mean, just talk. You know what? I'm glad you brought up about James Harden because I'm a Nets fan, right? And of
Hmm.
course, I began to hate because I'm also an Eagles fan. So it's just one of those things where we were like, oh, like, you know, during football season, Philly fans love me, but during basketball season, you know, Philly fans hate me. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just, speaking of James Harden, right? The freaking the Sixers and the Nets are playing tonight. By the way, they're supposed to be kickoff at like a 7:30. I think it is, but it might be a little later. So this whole drama between Simmons throughout the whole season, and then they finally traded for James Harden. How do you feel about how the Sixers handled the whole Ben Simmons situation and how the Nets handled the whole James Harden situation? I mean, who you think just made off, in the short term and in the long term?
I mean, I mean, it's sort of tough, because I think everybody and their mother knew that Simmons was not going back to Philadelphia, even if even if he kind of, there was looking like that possibility that he might, like, everybody just knew it wasn't going to happen. And at the same time, as a team, you don't want a player like Ben Simmons to walk away for absolutely nothing. So you do wait for the opportunity to arise to figure out what the best thing is. Obviously, with the whole issues with Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers started, that dates all the way back to training camp, which was before the issues with Harden started in the Nets. So you can't really make the argument of the Nets moving a little faster or trying to look a little more swiftly than Philadelphia, because this was when it was clear that the Nets experiment wasn't working after some months in. So yeah, I mean, I think both teams did. I think the Nets kind of made a move, and it's funny because it's like, theoretically speaking, if everything had gone great in Brooklyn with Harden and the Nets, it's like, where would we still be right now in the Simmons situation? But I think it worked out for both teams. So
okay, I mean, yeah, I know that you work for whatever magazine you work for, but at the same time, I feel like that you are giving a political correct answer right now at the moment. I feel like, look, the Nets made off because I feel like with James Harden, and the reason and the only reason why I say this is because James Harden was going to walk regardless at the end of the season. One, he did not want to play for the Nets, and two, he was literally a free agent after the season. So to give up a three-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, two-time first-team All-NBA defense, with potential, you know what I mean, for a 32, 33-year-old. But then you threw in Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, two first-round picks.
yeah.
Yes, everybody is saying that, hey, it's going to be some low picks. But if you're a team like the Rams, who cares about picks? Just trade those picks away, get you another star for next year, reload this team, and guess what? Thank you, 76ers. You set up the Brooklyn Nets for years to come. Who knows? The vaccine mandate might be lifted next year. And now you got, KD, Durant, Ben Simmons mentally, he's at the right spot. Drummond, if the Nets re-sign him, I feel like the Sixers equipped the Nets with what they were missing. Like the Nets never had a big man like Drummond in the middle at all. Like, I mean, they didn't tempt it with a DeAndre Jordan, but he's older. But it's ever got like Drummond and then extra shooters, and now you get them 2 first round to possibly trade for another star throughout the offseason. But James Harden, yeah, okay, you got James Harden. So if you don't win it this year or next year, where's your window? Like, I mean, the window done closed, but the
Yeah.
next window are still open. You know what I mean? Because they're a younger team, you know. And to me, Harden and Embiid, they both have health issues. Like the past 3 years, Harden all of a sudden developed a hamstring problem. And Embiid, every time he fall, I feel like his Carson Wentz. I'm holding my breath. I'm like, oh my, like he seemed like he's clumsy at times. I'm like, come on, man, please, and just go up straight and not try to get a foul, which might get you injured. You know what I mean? So outside looking in, I'm like, I like this trade very, very much because I feel like that the Nets with KD and Kyrie have enough shooting, and then with Ben Simmons, with Drummond, with the defense, and with Seth Curry with the extra shooting, with Patty Mills. But that's me.
Yeah. You're right.
But all right, so we about to wrap it up a little bit. But all right, so who's your top 5 MVP right now? Like right
Top
now,
five?
yeah, I mean
I
you
don't
got
really
you.
have a top 5 because in my mind, Joel
Okay,
Embiid is going to be the MVP.
so you think even when with Harden, I know they got about like 15 to 18 games left.
Hmm.
Do you feel like because Harden is there now and he's going to play at that time at least 25 to 30 games? So do you feel like the voters would say, hey, you got Harden now. You know, ever since Harden been there, hey, your numbers. Hey, he had like one or two 40 plus games, but before Harden shows up, he was constantly 40, 40, 40, high
Yeah.
30s, this and that. Do you think that might hurt him a little bit because his numbers might decrease?
I mean, it depends on how petty the NBA, the committee, like, yeah.
You really like to see who Ben is, okay? Hey, what's going on, MC? Hey, y'all trade him at the next year? I don't think so. And beat MVP, yeah. Hey, look, you got some people. I like your answer, yeah, because I know you want Embiid to be MVP.
I mean,
But I mean,
it depends on how petty. If I was a voter, no. Like, I'm looking at what he did before, what he continues to do after. Like, that doesn't. But
okay.
sometimes, sometimes the voters do get a little bit petty.
Mhm.
They do.
And I agree with you. And believe it or not,
I
in
think
the
somebody like Kobe
season
Bryant should have had way more than, what was it, one, two?
or LeBron James should have had at least like almost every year. Michael Jordan could easily been MVP almost every
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Giannis, people got sick and tired of him winning it only twice. You were like, oh no, I'm done with him. So I think
Yeah.
the MVP. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think that the NBA should get rid of the regular season MVP and just focus on other playoffs? Because if it's like that, hey, I'm sick tired of you winning it. Hey, we about to go to the next guy. I'm sick tired of you winning. I'm about to go to the next guy. So does it really hold weight? You know what I mean?
Well, in my mind, some might disagree.
Mhm.
It doesn't. I always think the playoffs, and I mean, it's like, what do you qualify as being the MVP?
Exactly.
Because to me, an MVP could be somebody that, got their team. Like, let's say their team wasn't going to make the playoffs, but you have somebody that's just pulling like these incredible performances, like a player version of what Ty Lue has done with the Clippers.
Yeah.
Like, they got them
Yeah.
there. Like, to me, that's somebody that should qualify for an MVP. It shouldn't just be who has the best record. And it seems like that's what it's connected to. Like, it's connected to who has the best records, and I don't think it should always be based on that. If you dragged your team to the playoffs because, like, if you were struggling mid-season and you got them there through incredible performances, you should be considered as well and not be written off just because you didn't have 50-something wins. So in that case, if it's always going to be based on those same like silly standards, or people are going to be petty with how they do it, I think that they should get rid of it. And to me, it's never mattered, because I think the ultimate goal should be for you to win a championship. So,
All right, look. Hey, I agree 100% with you. But with that being said, you just made a case for Joker. Like, this dude had no help. Murray been out like the whole year. He's been balling out. He is setting NBA history, and not
Hmm.
this season, but NBA history. He's setting records. What I mean, for being the so proficient. The points that he putting up. So why would a guy like Jokic, that he's not the most sexiest name. Like he remind
Yeah.
me of a Tim Duncan type, dominant, but he's boring. But Embiid, feisty, passionate. So people
Right.
is like Embiid is the most dominant big man, but the stats will show that Jokic is putting up, some better stats in NBA history than Embiid. So
Yeah,
with
and he
you
won't
saying
win.
that, so why you saying Embiid instead of Jokic just based on what you just said?
Yeah,
Dragging their
because I
team
already
to the
because I already know.
playoffs.
I already know that they're going to give it up based on politics.
Okay. Hey, that's good. Let me see. King David's like, Joker isn't MVP. Come on. So Embiid, not no, he's not. Joker can't do anything against big man. But look, hey, the stats say something else. Like literally, the stats say something else. I think his a PER is like the highest in NBA history. So look, I'm just saying, look, it's a tight race between Joker and Embiid, in my opinion. Can MB stay healthy the next couple weeks? Throughout the for the season to be over without because I don't think that Joker missed any games. He's been strong from the start to like right now. Embiid missed a few games. Is that going to factor in? If it's like neck and neck, who missed the most games? So who knows? But Joker literally been carrying the Denver Nuggets out in the West, you know what I mean, which is
Yeah.
a was considered at one point to be one of the hardest a conference, but maybe not right this minute. But at the beginning of the season, the West was like a juggernaut, and then people
Yeah.
just start getting hurt. But I mean, look, it is what it is. So, all right, we're about to end it right here. So, give me your final predictions, like your finals prediction and who wins.
This is, like you said, this is the most chaotic NBA season. I thought the bubble was a little chaotic. I thought last season was
Mm-hmm.
chaotic, recovering, like being in the first like full year of COVID. This is the most chaotic I've probably ever witnessed, with all the G League call ups and everything, and it just wow. If I had to, okay, if I have to put money on it, let's see. I'm hoping that Chris Paul will come back healthy from what's going on with him.
Facts.
And so I'm thinking Phoenix goes for the West. Yeah.
Okay.
The East, I'm going to go with Chicago.
Whoa! Over the Sixers, your MVP MB is not even in the finals.
MVP doesn't always
Dang.
mean that
Yeah.
you're gonna make the finals. I think Chicago's been on a tear. DeRozan's been. If I had to pick, and it's been a wild season. I'm just going.
Yeah, it has.
I think Phoenix is probably the best bet, but I'm not ruling out the Warriors either. I know they've been struggling, but I'm not going to rule out the Warriors.
How about the Bucks? I mean, how
I
about
won't
the
rule out
Bucks?
the Bucks either. I know it's like it's just been weird. It's been weird. But if I had to do a safe bet, like if I'm talking money, I'm doing Phoenix and I'm doing Chicago.
Okay. Hey, look. Hey,
Because Harden does not deliver in the playoffs.
I'm glad you said that because these fans in chat been on your side. Right now, you don't create some enemies because there are a lot of Sixer fans in the chat. It was like, yeah, she know what she's talking about. Yeah, she's awesome. And now you about to get booed. I mean, it's just I Philly fans. So. But look, hey, I really think it might as much. I want the Sixers. I'm a Nets fan, but I do have some Philly ties and stuff like that. I'm an Eagles fan and stuff like that. I'm from South Jersey. But I don't trust that Embiid and Harden can stay healthy long enough in the playoffs to play together as dominant as they've been doing the past 5 games. Because I've watched them play, the past 3 seasons, and it's always some injury, or they don't show up in the playoffs. So that's why I'm keeping my mind open. The Bucks to me out in the East. Man, I'm not gonna pick my Nets. I'm not gonna pick Brooklyn, by the way. I'm picking the Bucks to go back to the finals because they have the most complete team. And they picked up Ibaka. And we could be a huge coming off the bench or even a starter, which is he could go out to the three. I mean, they are very well balanced, and Giannis got better every year. This year, he's shooting threes at the yin yang. I mean, so to me, the Bucks have no real weakness. Like at their whole teams together, there's no real weakness, and they are the defending champs. So I had to go with the Bucks out in the East because I feel like that every other team have question marks. You know, the Bulls. You know, how good are they really? You know, and they missing their big man in Vucevic. You know, their big man is missing. You know, he been hurt a few times. So, and then the Heat is like, okay, I like the Heat, but this man, there's not real dominant guy that could stop Giannis, you know, and then Ibaka, and then Middleton, and you know, a Drew Holiday. So they have just too much firepower. The Sixers, the health is going to be the biggest question, and the play of Harden and Embiid in a big playoff game. You know, last year I know they try to use Ben Simmons as an scapegoat, but you blew back-to-back 20+ point lead. You can't blame one guy for that. It's a team thing. And like they had mostly the same players besides James Harden. Okay, I get it, but we just said James Harden, he kind of choked in the playoffs. I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions. And the Nets, by the way, who knows if Kyrie, you know, you have to play away home games, and right now he can't play home games.
Yeah.
The Ben Simmons situation, and we don't know when he's going to play or anything like that. So the Bucks to me are the most complete dominant team right now. Yeah. Out the West, I have to go with a Phoenix, but it's going to. I'm not even worried about Chris Paul because I think that dude behind Chris Paul did pretty well last year. The backup Payne. Payne is the backup. Yeah, so he did pretty well last year, and it seems like with Payne in the lineup, the pace is faster. So it just seems like I'm not really worried about it. As long as Booker is on target, it's all good. You know what I mean? Because I think that Aiden is going to be good in the paint. Crowder is still there. Payne will push the pace. So I feel like, hey, Phoenix, Bucks, a rematch of last year. You said you got who winning?
I would have Phoenix winning. I'm gonna give it to Phoenix this year.
I do too. See, I do too. On that note, hey, so look, I really appreciate you coming on here. I had a blast.
Yeah.
So let them know, man. And let those who are watching that came in late, where they could find you. Well, it came on it.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, it seemed like there was quite a bit like commentary.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I still didn't even go through all the comments yet. Actually, so it was like boo, Philly versus everybody. Yeah. Look, hey, that's our mindset. You know what I mean? As an Eagles fan, I'm telling you, and we always underdog. So it's always Philly versus everybody. Sixers and Suns in the finals. What about the Grizzlies? Any thoughts on the Grizzlies? I mean, they're a good story. I mean, I think that they could pass the first round, though. I mean, do you?
I think so too. I think so. They have a shot. Good story, but the shade is real, Jay.
Hey, it is what it is, man. Hey, I can't always be biased. Yo, I kept it real though. You know what I mean? Yo, I didn't even pick the Nets to go to the finals. So it is what it is. And she won't get booed. She has. Wait, hold up. How am I? Wait, back up, man. How am I? You know, hey, there's shade coming my way, but then she won't get booed as her opinion. It's my opinion too, man. Come on, King. Man, you just lost all credibility with me, man. You just lost all credibility with me. Sirianni Crossbrand, Let me see. The game starting. Talk to you later. And let me see. Harden and Embiid may have this year or next year to take it all. We will see Bucks versus 76ers Eastern Conference Final. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
the overall, man, look, anytime you want to talk some ball, they just holler at me. Hey, we'll get on it, man. Because I love having people that like to talk sports. And once again, happy Women History Month.
Thank
and I
you.
really appreciate you coming on, and just let them know where they can find you at and what you're working on.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at RuckerJL. You can find me on Instagram at Jael Rucker. No, it's a little confusing. And then what I'm working on, stay tuned.
Hey, look, hey, I like it. And hey, if you on here for the first time, please go check me out on all platform, just JC Sports Talk. On Twitter, though, is JC Sports Talk 20 for Brian Dawkins. The 20 is for Brian Dawkins, my favorite Eagle player of all time. But as always, man, I gotta represent the birds, and go birds.